as we celebrate Mother's Day, I want to encourage not only women who are not moms, but also others like men, younger people, to recognize the importance that God has placed upon all women. And I know that a lot of the women here, the passage that we're going to read today some people like it and some people don't. But hopefully I'll be able to explain it and we can at least appreciate and understand it a little bit more. Going back to the role of women and why it extends beyond what moms are. Do you guys remember when Jesus was on the cross? Jesus was on the cross and he knew he was going to die. And he looked down from the cross and he saw his mom there. And he saw one of the disciples. And he looked at his mom and he said, "Woman, here is your son." And looking at one of his followers, he said to him, "Here is your mom." And I really believe that as he said this, he was establishing a new kind of relationship which goes beyond that of a mom and a child. That the role of mother is to be extended to all women. And even towards those people that are not your biological child. Right? And this is carried on, and we see it even in Paul's life when he's writing letters to other churches. He says, "Hey, I want you to say hi to them. I want you to say hi to them. Oh, and I want you to say hi to, what's his name's mom, who was also a mom to me." So we can see how the spiritual relationship of motherhood is being extended beyond biological relationships. And the passage I want to read to you today comes from Colossians chapter 3, verses 18 to 25. And this is, in some circles, kind of controversial, but I really appreciate this passage, and hopefully you'll appreciate it too. And it says this: "Wives, be subject to your husbands." I go, "Oh, that's the part a lot of people don't like." Ooh, right? "Be subject to your husbands, as is fitting in the Lord." Second part: "Husbands, love your wives and never treat them harshly. Children, obey your parents in everything, for this is your acceptable duty in the Lord." Next part: "Fathers," I think it's more appropriate to say parents. "Fathers, do not provoke your children, or they may lose heart." Next one: "Slaves," or employees, obey your earthly masters in everything, not only while being watched and in order to please them, but wholeheartedly fearing the Lord. Whatever your task, put yourselves into it, as done for the Lord and not for masters," meaning men. Don't just do stuff, whether it's in your office or in your home, just to please other people, but because you are trying to please God. That's what it means. "Since you know that from the Lord you will receive the inheritance as your reward. You serve the Lord Christ." And this last part, people go, why is it kind of added to this passage that we're reading when it's talking about relationships and all of a sudden this? "For the wrongdoers will be paid back for whatever wrong has been done, and there is no partiality." Just to kind of touch on that last part, I really believe that this is added there because in our relationship with each other, I think we have a tendency, especially parents, we have a tendency to try to cover up the wrong that our kids do. Right? If they do something wrong or they have a responsibility, instead of having them live up to their responsibility, we cover it up. If they do something wrong, we say, "Oh no, it's okay," we cover it up. If they have a responsibility in the home, and I really believe that every child has a responsibility in the home, as every individual, husband, wife, everybody has a responsibility in the home. Like, if a child is supposed to take out the garbage or do the dishes, "Oh, I'll just do it." And we cover it up. And now it seems like there's some personal things going on there, huh? A lot of you guys will experience that. Go, "Oh, that's me." Right? We'll cover it up, and they think that they have fulfilled what their role is in the household. But this part right there is saying this: if your kids do something wrong, one of the roles of the parent is to hold them accountable. Right? If they don't do something around the home, another responsibility of the parent is to remind them that's your responsibility. You are a part of this home. That's your thing to do. And if we, as a family, if we fail to do this, it goes on right here. That last verse. If we don't make our home responsible, it says they will be paid back for whatever wrong that they have done. They never rise to mature as individuals. They never grow in themselves as an individual, as a person, as a child of God. I really believe this. And the other day, we had a little incident in the church. We had an incident in which one of the windows was broken downstairs. And it doesn't, to me, no big deal. Windows are going to get broken. And it wasn't even that big of a window. But we were joking around, these little kids, some of our church little kids were around, and they're like, "Hey man, what's up? Did you guys break this window?" And they're like, "No, no, no." And some of the parents started coming out, and they're going, "Who did this?" And everybody, you know what all the parents are thinking. If you're a parent, you know what you're thinking. I hope my child didn't do this, right? That's what they're thinking. And it was great because one of our leaders, one of the moms came out, and her children were there, and we were just joking. We didn't even, we weren't, it's going to get broken. So we were like, like this. And she was like, right there, go, "Hey, did you guys do this?" Right? And I was like, "Wow, actually, that's cool." Because, here's something that happened. And although we were kind of joking about it, here's a mom that was actually willing to hold that child responsible if they had done it. We said, no. More than anything, we think just a car kicked up the rock or something and broke the window. It's no big deal. But, but at the same time, I really believe that as a family, if we hold each other accountable, it builds character. It helps each person in that family to mature. Right? And that passage that we read, I want to cover it with you. But in the Bible, there are many instances of women in the Old Testament and the New Testament in which the Bible says, especially in light of Mary, Jesus' mom, that she was an individual who was able to understand and treasure things in her heart about her child, about her family. And I want to encourage all women today to take this passage to heart as we talk about it. And I think this, if you do that, it will greatly bless your home and all of us right here. And the first part it says is, "Wives, be subject to your husbands." And we got to ask the question, why? All the men are going like this. Yes, preach it. Why? Why should wives be subject to their husbands? Let's think about that. Do you remember when, at the very beginning, when God created Adam and Eve? When God created, first of all, Adam, that's what it says, the Bible created the man first, Adam. He looked at the man, and God created everything before, all of creation, and then man, and there's the man. And God's got things for him to do, right? But the Bible says that when God looked at this man was kind of moping around. And God said, "Oh my gosh, look at this guy that I created. I thought he was it. But look at him." And then what does the Bible say? It says God looked at him and said, "Oh, he needs a helper. He needs some help." That's what it means. He needs some help. And what did God do then? He goes and creates Eve, a woman. And when Eve comes around, all of a sudden, things are getting done. Animals are getting named, right? Things are coming back into order, right? We know what's supposed to belong where, who's who, what's what. Things are getting done. And when God looked at the man and the woman, it's at that point I really believe that God said, "This is very good. This is very good." Because he knew the character and the personality of the man. And wives, be subject to your husbands. When we read this passage, I think too many people get theological. We try to come up with these big fancy words and explanations of why the woman should be subject to the husband. I like to look at the Bible in a very practical, realistic way. For me, when I look at the man, you know, we might be like tough on the outside, but on the inside, we're soft. We're delicate, right? Our egos may be like this, but very sensitive. And our personalities are that we need somebody who can really sustain us, right? Who can help us to be all that we can. Just the way Eve was to Adam. It's not that the woman is weak, but quite possibly, I think the Bible says this because God made the woman to be strong. Because in a certain sense, the man was not strong enough by himself. Think about it that way. And in my life, I find that, especially as I get older, I need my woman more and more and more. Okay? Oh, I'm not as strong as I could think that I am. Or I like to kind of portray myself as being. Second thing this passage says, it's not just about the woman, but it's also about the other person in that relationship, the husband. It says, husbands, love your wives. Why? Why do you think men need to love their women? Because going back to Adam and Eve, ever since the time of Adam, right, the woman came along, she was great, she was helping us, she was fulfilling, making us all that we can be, doing things that we couldn't do. I said, yeah, that's cool. But everything was going well. But as soon as something went wrong, what did the man do? It was her. It's her fault. We blame the woman. And I hate to say it, but that biblical curse or character or DNA, I feel like it's being carried down all the way to me. Whenever our children do something wrong, I feel like, what? Oh my gosh, they take after their, who do you think I'm thinking? Mom. Oh my gosh, why do our kids have to be so much like you? But when something goes great, or when I see a character in them that is really good, I go, oh, they're so much like me. Right? That's what we think. And that's kind of the character of men in general, I think. In general. And that is why men are really called to love their wives. You've got to love them.